I lived in Hong Kong for almost 7 years. Therefore, I was more than a casual spectator June 30th, 1997, the day the city was returned to Chinese sovereignty. My 10 days there in June and July, witnessing the handover activities, added another layer to the unforgettable memories I have of that special place I once called home. The handover may have been an event of global significance, but for me, it was a cherished chapter in our family's personal history. It is fitting that the British farewell ceremony took place alongside the harbor. Symbolically, everything significant about Hong Kong begins and ends with its harbor. Multi-million-dollar feature film made in China and released in time for the handover tells the story of the British-Sino conflict that led to England's colonization of Hong Kong. The movie is named Opium Wars. These scenes from it show what happened when the Chinese emperor moved to stop the illegal trade of the drug, a trade corrupting all levels of society. The emperor assigned a minister to wipe out opium trading and to punish those involved, ranking government officials included. Pleased with the campaign to end the drug scourge, the emperor eventually confiscated and destroyed large stores of opium held by the British traders. However, the Chinese eventually had to prepare for war. Provoked by the Chinese action, the British sent an expeditionary force to free British traders and their ships being held in quarantine and to extract reparations. The superior weaponry of the British led to the defeat of the Chinese forces. Besides demanding large quantities of silver in reparations, the British also forced the Chinese to cede a small barren island in Canton Province on the coast of the South China Sea. It was Hong Kong's fine natural harbor that the British coveted above all. At the time, the British celebrated what could be termed their takeover, possibly not far from where they carried out their handover ceremonies last June the 30th. The emperor decided the British demands and their occupation of Hong Kong were too much for China to bear. He once again tried through forces of arms to dispel the British. But once again, British cannon power proved superior. Defeated once again, the Chinese were compelled to sign the Treaty of Nanjing in August of 1842, ceding Hong Kong in perpetuity and portions of the Kowloon Peninsula until 1997. One of the Star Ferry fleet is named the North Star. This is an appropriate title. A cross-harbor ferry ride provides an instant fix when one is at sea emotionally in harbor haunted by memories. The Star Ferry is a few minutes walk from the Mandarin Oriental, our hotel of choice whenever we return to Hong Kong. We always get a northeast corner suite with its magnificent harbor view. Our daughter Jacqueline and her husband Stan were able to join Joe and me in Hong Kong during handover week. One of our first stops was to the American Club. Its 49th floor balcony overlooking the harbor offered a panorama of the sights for the key handover ceremonies. Alongside the East Timor Quay was a royal yacht and its escort vessel, a Royal Navy warship. On the Kowloon side, near the Star Ferry terminal, is the old railroad station clock tower. One of the conditions of the handover agreement was that daily life in Hong Kong would carry on as before. A tradition established by the preeminent British trading company was the firing of a harborside gun to mark precisely the start of the noon hour. It is an event that is sure to attract tourists long beyond 1997. In the days leading up to the handover, we went about the city, down streets and across intersections we knew so well from the time of our residence. We delight in the familiar smells, sights and sounds. The trams that we rode so often have hardly changed. No matter how often we visit Hong Kong, we never fail to be amazed at the pace of change, the frenzy of new construction, and the signs of prosperity. Major shopping areas are always crowded. Hong Kong's population growth rate is 2.6%, and the 1996 population was 6.3 million. This is in an area of about 684 square miles, including Hong Kong Island, the Kowloon Peninsula, and the New Territories. As the world's seventh largest trading economy, Hong Kong in 1996 reached a gross domestic product of US $153 billion. The per capita income is $23,000, higher even than England's. Coming upon an open street food market always causes a sense of déjà vu. Little about this traditional way of going to market had changed. Here and there were random reminders of the big day ahead. Some displays made the general sentiment about the handover very clear. Our family's first scheduled personal celebration was dinner on the Peak, at a restaurant with spectacular night harbor views. The first public ceremony I witnessed was the final changing of the guard at the Prince of Wales Barracks, also adjacent to the harbour. The next day, an association of organizations representing Kowloon held a dragon lighting ceremony to celebrate the reunification. The twilight view of Hong Kong Island from Kowloon itself was a spectacle. The buildings that bear brilliant displays annually at Christmas time were now paying a glowing tribute to the handover. The golden dragon being illuminated stood 19 feet tall at its head and stretched 2 miles from the Star Ferry terminal up Nathan Road, which forms the spine of the peninsula. As part of the hotel's handover package, the Mandarin's general manager held a reception for its guests. Traditional style Chinese dress was encouraged. We ended the day with a meal at the Wan Chai restaurant we frequented when we lived in Hong Kong, called American Restaurant. Very little about the restaurant has changed since the early 70s. Despite its name, the menu is strictly Chinese, but for some reason, the place is a favorite of expatriates living there. The clientele is predominantly Western, at least on that night. The ship sailed from its anchorage off Aberdeen on the south side of Hong Kong Island into Victoria Harbour. We sailed as close as we could to the Britannia before being warned off by police and military boats. Heading back, we circled the harbor. Official ceremonies on the last day of British rule began with Governor Patton's departure from his official residence. This and most of the footage to follow was taken from TV broadcasts of the handover ceremonies and from a video of handover highlights that was made commercially available to the public. While the British performed their official goodbye ceremonies at the East Timor Parade grounds, our family joined the Heinrichs for a very special celebration aboard the Double Haven. We now and then watch the proceedings on TV.
C.H. Tung and his wife Betty will serve Hong Kong with dedication, strength, and enthusiasm. Everyone here will be willing them to succeed in the challenging years that lie ahead.
Our attention was devoted mostly to reminiscing about our life in Hong Kong. We went on a nostalgia binge with Merle and Joe exchanging anecdotes about the early days of their enterprise. As the British fired their farewell salute, we toasted our memories and our friendship.
You too. You were there. And you did. You said, yes, let's do it.
Britain learnt long ago that Hong Kong people know best what is good for Hong Kong. We have no doubt that Hong Kong people can run Hong Kong.
Because the Double Haven was anchored that night in Victoria Harbour, we had a great view of the British-sponsored fireworks show that followed their tamer farewell. In the hours leading up to the main event, the official handover ceremony, pro-democracy groups demonstrated as close as they could. A banquet preceded the main ceremony.
I propose a toast to the future of Hong Kong.
Pre-banquet toast included one by the Chinese Foreign Minister to the Queen.
To the Queen.
The well-rehearsed ceremony didn't get started until 11:30 to allow the flag of China and the new Hong Kong flag to be raised precisely at midnight. At the same time, another flag ceremony took place at Prince of Wales Barracks, where an advanced guard unit of the Chinese Army replaced British troops.
The United Kingdom has been proud and privileged to have had responsibility for the people of Hong Kong, to have provided a framework of opportunity in which Hong Kong has so conspicuously succeeded, and to have been part of the success.
1997年7月1日这一天，将作为值得人们永远纪念的日子载入史册。经历了100年沧桑的香港回归祖国。
The speeches of Prince Charles and Jiang Zemin reflected the conflicting perspectives on the effect of British rule that prevailed throughout the week. Following the ceremony, Prince Charles and Hong Kong's last governor bade their final farewells and boarded the Britannia. Joe was able to videotape the Britannia as it sailed past the Double Haven. While the Britannia was sailing off towards the Philippines, the new officials and governing bodies of the Special Administrative Region, that is now Hong Kong, were being sworn in.
为香港特别行政区服务。
为香港特别行政区服务。香港特别行政区基本法。
廉洁奉公。
The one group that had a significant number of British citizens taking the oath was that of the Chief Justices. Later, just before dawn, the main body of Chinese troops would cross into the new territories. Staged celebrations took place after the swearing-in ceremonies. They included the debut of a song written in part by Betty Tung, wife of Hong Kong's new chief executive. But all week-long celebrations that would rival any extravaganza at Las Vegas or during the halftime at the Super Bowl were taking place on stages, in stadia, and on TV. But the most spectacular extravaganza was, of course, the fireworks show the evening of July 1st. We watched it from the balcony of our 14th floor suite at the Mandarin. The Chinese spent millions to make sure it would match the historic importance of the event. Shooting from the anchored Double Haven, cameraman Steve Fryer had a clear view of the accidental fire that occurred at the show's end on one of the fireworks barges.
Wow, is it on fire?
Yeah, it's on fire.
Wow.
Because Joe and I socially knew the family of the new chief executive, C.H. Tung, we were invited to Government House for a private tea party for family and friends on July 4th. It was the first time we had been inside what was once the official residence of the British governor. This historic building will not be the residence of C.H. Tung. It may eventually be turned into a museum or a guest house. It was a fitting site for our sayonara event. We were almost as sad to leave when it was all over as it was for Governor Patton, when he made his final farewell to his home of 6 years.